Jai unfortunately suffered a hand fracture early in the second quarter of that game against Brisbane. He went in for surgery last night, and no different really to Cooper Harvey from a couple of weeks ago. It's just going to be a matter of not sweating for the initial week, just so that the wound doesn't get affected, and then how he copes in with function and soreness get into week 2. So we'll definitely miss this week, but we'll update next week what his chances are of playing. So Brendan George is going really well. He just went away for a week's refresher, so in the long-term injuries, the mental grind of the day-to-day when there's no light at the end of the tunnel with playing games can sometimes drain a player a little bit, so we look for periods within their program that will send them away for a mental refresher. He went away last week and come back this week in the first part of his new program, which is transitioning to more on-field conditioning and a change in his strength program to more functional strength and power. He spent the day in with Melbourne Storm with our rehab physio Stevie Dean and trained with the rehab crew in at Melbourne Storm with the like of Ryan Pappenhausen. So spent the day with their rehab mechanics around some knee injuries and lifted with the boys in the gym. So he had a great experience in there on Monday, and he's come back really excited for the second part now of his reconditioning phase. Cooper, as we spoke about last week, basically just had to avoid sweating in the stitches of that finger fracture that got surgery on. He had a high conditioning session then over the back end of the weekend, and he sets up just to train and play this week, so he's available this week. Youngie's going really well now, so last week we were caught in between pushing Lockie to play versus how that looks in the aftermath of playing, with the risk of it swelling up again and having another battle on our hands this week of trying to get into the line again with not much preparation and being pretty sore. So we took a more conservative approach with Youngie last week, but he's feeling really good. So we had a football function session today. We'll full train on Thursday to tick that off and be available to play. So great news for Lockie. Yeah, so George was an interesting one. At match committee about six weeks ago, we spoke about with his return to play phase, going on a 3 games on, 1 game off, just in the initial phase of him reabsorbing game loads. And last week was probably the week where some of his fatigue metrics and his hamstring strength metrics were down at the start of the week. So it basically forced a little bit of a discussion between match committee and medical on how we approached George that week, and ultimately we went with a more conservative approach just to respect the loading that he's undertaken for the first 3 games that he's played. Had a freshen up last week then across the weekend, so he's chomping at the bit now. We'll full train this week and play up the Gold Coast, so hopefully we see a reinvigorated George this week. X now is starting to prepare to run, so the last couple of weeks now X has been doing some stair walking, calf loading, some leg strengthening in the gym. So to prepare first to go into Ultra G running, so just to get his body used to loading again, where you can increment the percentage of body load and body weight that's on that ankle. And from there then he'll transition on ground and progress from there. But at this time frame you might be looking at round 12 to 14 as an estimation of him returning to play.